Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another special edition of the Victory of Light radio show. I'm your host, Rob Potter, here at the Pyramid One Network with my producers, John Allen down under and Bob Charles stateside. Thank you all for tuning in again to another Cobra interview. We got lots of stuff going on as usual. And before we get started, I need to thank Ricky Sarafico for his wonderful intro music and, of course, his excellent sound editing qualities and the detail and the love that he puts into this interview. Also, Danelle Glade, the ever tireless, wonderful light worker who does such an incredible job in the transcriptions of these interviews for us on our own time. Thank you so much, Danelle. Always so much appreciated. Sam Ritchie for your editing of the final version. And it seems like Neotech is a gentleman who's doing the recordings of the Cobra interviews. I'm going to ask Mr. Neotech to keep my intro intact for these interviews. My information I'd like to see shared with the world too. I think it's viable information. We're all working together as a team here. Anyway, while I've been out of range, for those of you who have been contacting me, I want to thank you all so very, very much. I've received so many wonderful, kind letters of support and gratitude, and it's such an honor to be in this position, sharing this information with you. For those of you who are tuning in and waking up and looking behind the smoke and mirrors to find out what's going on. We hope that we're doing an accurate job, definitely doing the best we can with a lot of love and support from all of you. I'd like to thank my friend Louis Martin, Nana Poles, and Group 1 and 2 in Bolivia, who went down there for an amazing experience, where the solar initiation experience filled with synchronicities. We had a full moon, blue moon, on the island of the sun, about as solar as you can get down there. We were not too far away from the actual Great White Brotherhood retreat, which exists beneath Lake Titicaca. In the island of the sun is Lake Titicaca the Minor. And according to Luis, this lake was artificially flooded about 5,000 years ago. They put a hole in the mountain to bring the water in, and they also altered a river and filled up the minor aspect of Lake Titicaca. And at the bottom of that lake, there's a small area that's on a hill, and it's surrounded by some columns, and it's called the Golden Disk of the Sun. It's kind of shaped like a pyramid, and there's a giant topaz on top of that. It's a very powerful instrument that is used by the spiritual forces of the non-material government to aid the planet Earth. In fact, it was misused some time ago and caused a tilt of the Earth's axis and caused us to have a wobble on the planet. So hopefully we can rectify that situation. Luis, our friend, has been to this inner retreat beneath the lake, and next to it he noticed another dome, and that was a Confederation base. Also beneath the Golden Disk of the Sun is a small community, a Garthan network from many, many thousands of years ago. Luis met both the masters that are in control of that, the master Soriam and Soramez, from Atlanteans, both probably in the range of 40,000 years old. Luis also been to the Abbey of the Seven Rays in the Andes there, and we went to visit that location. Nearby is also another Confederation base, showing that the Great White Brotherhood, Sisterhood, works hand in hand with the Galactic Confederation to bring about change on our planet behind the scenes. But we're the ones who are not only preparing for change, but becoming the change in our daily activities. For those of you who follow Prepare for Change, we know that many of you are becoming active, and this is what we are really hoping to see, is for people to become aware and to find your own voice and your own decision in how to raise your own vibration to bring about healthy change on this planet, not by sitting around and waiting for change or complaining that things aren't happening and that you're tired of the way things have been going on. Realize this has been in process for thousands of years. We're at the final stages, and we must be patient, we must be diligent, and we must be honest and sincere in our efforts. And the primary watchwords are unconditional love and forgiveness. And those are the, I guess I would call them keywords or watch phrases of the Great White Brotherhood as well. They're very much involved in the spiritual evolution of individuals and the energetic patterns of the planet and the downstepping of the energies. We did not make it to Tehama, which is another giant mountain not too far away, about 5 hours from La Paz, where the large egg-shaped Sintamani stone, the primary Sintamani stone on the planet, resides, and was moved from beneath the Gobi Desert not too long ago. And speaking of the Sintamani stones, we will have more stones available. We're in the process of preparing this. It's quite an effort when these sales come in to get these out to you. We have a limited number, of course. We did get some more stones given to us, so we're happy to pass those forward to you all. We will have certain segments for free, not too many, but these will be little packages. We're not going to send the little slivers out anymore. We're going to get little packages of them. We'll have a few of those available, and of course, some at different sizes and different prices. So those are going to be available on Prepare for Change. We also have special order larger ones that will be sold individually if you're interested in those. Then I'm having some made into jewelry pieces, and if you want, we can custom make a jewelry piece for you from my jeweler. You can see that that's available now on my website. So look for the stones in a little bit. Just be patient on that. No need to call us. Just wait till they come up. And if you want a larger one, you can contact my assistant, Tracy Houghton, who was absolutely instrumental in the Mount Shasta conference, which is another reason I've been kind of out of touch for so long. I've had lots of reports, and if you go to Mount Shasta Summer Conference on Facebook, you can see the wonderful pictures taken by everyone. We had an amazing display of orbs. Omnik was awesome, off the hook. It was really cute. She's an absolute doll and sweetheart, and she blew a lot of minds. She smokes and drinks. She started smoking at 52. Not highly recommended, but what a wonderful soul who really taught us that judgment and fear is really out the window. She confirmed a lot of things, and those videos of the Mount Shasta conference are being edited, and hopefully they'll be available soon. I handed that off to another capable party who's handling that, and we hope to offer that on my website as well in the not too distant future. So we had the Mount Shasta conference with Alex Collier laying it down incredibly. Michael Sala, what a great presentation. He gave all the speakers really. Ted Marr started it off with a wonderful sharing of his personal life journey as a psychic and intuitive. And then, of course, Scott Lamrill holding down the anchor of the spiritual essence of the conference. And then Craig Campobasso giving us a screening of Stranger at the Pentagon. So we had a popcorn and a movie the first night. And then, of course, Tolek was in the house for the second time he's appeared in public, of course, the largest group. What a kind, wonderful, gentle soul he was. And I'm just really honored that so many people came to support the conference and the event throughout the weekend with some great music. It was just overall wonderful. And you can see the pictures there on the Mount Shasta Summer Conference on Facebook. Feel free to join and check it out. Next year, I'm not sure exactly what's going to be happening. I am going to be doing a special 3-day program with Louis Martin. We'll be doing a solar activation here as well as in Maui this winter. And I'm going to announce right now, I'm really looking for someone who can translate Spanish into English to be an interpreter for next summer for Louis on the West Coast tour. We're going to be starting sometime in the summer for about 10 days, and you get free pass to the conference, of course, and some financial remuneration. And we're also looking for professional translators to translate Louis' books. There's some great books there for people to see. Cobra's been having some amazing posts lately. The sublunar operations and some of his other posts have really been bringing out some great information. And in this interview, you're going to hear Cobra, and he's basically clears up a lot of misinformation. As always, everyone wants to know about the global currency reset, and there's a lot of talk about this wave axe or super wave, photon belt, different names. I call it the galactic plane. There's an energy vibrational upliftment and attunement, and it's been in process for a long time. I don't think any one scientist, especially an Earth-based scientist, is going to be able to delineate a specific date, but everyone wants to get a date and hang on it and then be disappointed afterwards. So Cobra has always been very clear it's a window of opportunity, which makes a lot of sense to me, and will be continual upticks in vibrational attunement in concert with cosmic forces, magnetic, solar, lunar, planetary conditions, let's just call them astrological aspects of magnetic influence on consciousness, is bringing in different rays of energy. Something very interesting at the conference, which Cobra is adamant is not real. Alex Collier stated that there is a dwarf star that is in the infrared spectrum that's about the size of Jupiter, maybe a little larger, that is carrying planets with it and is coming into our solar system. He says it comes in every 3,600 years. There's different names for it. People talk about Nibiru. I really don't want to hear about the Nibiru is related to the Anukai and all of that stuff. So I'm unsure of it. I was with Cobra saying, look, I don't see it. I want to find out if it's real. I want evidence. We should be able to observe it. Alex states that he has a contact in the government who says that it is real, that he does have a picture that the guy sent him, but he would not allow me to see it, even though I promised not to release it to the public. I wanted to use it for my own research and edification. But I think that eventually at some point, if it's real, someone will bust out where it's at, and everyone can take their telescopes, look at it through an infrared lens and see if this dwarf star, small dwarf star, only visible in the infrared spectrum, is really coming here. Alex said that it'll come between 2016 and 2017. It'll have some major influence for about 3 months. I asked him, did you get confirmation from the Andromedans? And he said, yeah, they told him about it in person. They told him about him telepathically, and they confirmed that this picture that was given to him was real. Now, I really like the physical contactees, and of course, they even have different viewpoints. So I guess we're going to find out in the future. Cobra says absolutely not. He would have been told about it. He doesn't see it. There's no evidence of it. And I really would like to side with Cobra. It seems like it'd make things a lot easier, that's for sure. Some of the indications of this comet is that due to the protection of the Galactic Confederation, we will not have any major cataclysmic drastic upheaval. We may have some earthquakes causing some shifting, and we already are having a bit of a pole shift already. Whether it flips completely or not, and what the changes will be, I agree with Cobra and Alex as well that they won't be that bad. It won't be that cataclysmic. It's under control. So here we have again, folks, the compartmentalization and the differing views from even bona fide contactees. I have to have great respect for Alex Collier and, of course, for Cobra as well for their tremendous work, body of information that they've done, and time will reveal the truth on this one. So we'll have to see how that is, but in either case, there's no need to go into fear or to worry about anything negative from this planet. We should be prepared, and I think if it is real, I would certainly hope the Galactics can precipitate the event and to let people know if there will be some changes, to give people time to move and to get to some safe zones. We probably will be having some telluric activities. Louis Martin also confirmed to me from his contact, and he's been to Ganymede, to the moon, artificial moon around Jupiter. He was on the interior. There's a crystal city and a city called Moreland, and he's also been to Tau Ceti. He's been to Venus, and he's been to the Pleiades physically, and he's also been inside several Great White Brotherhood retreats. There's a tremendous lightning rod of activation of ground crew for downstepping of spiritual energies in activations in various locations on the planet. I'll be joining him in various locations next year. We're probably going to Israel and some other places to work on the dragon lines and to stabilize some of the Earth consciousness collective energies that get released on the acupuncture grid ley lines, as Antoine calls it, grid work. So this is a very important aspect of the work of the light workers, and it's all coming together. Despite any differences or viewpoints or opinions, the truth is going to come out slowly and steadily. To talk about something else that's really cool, I'm really into the pineal and pituitary gland from my information that I get from the self-realization, my meditation instructor, Babaji, and Kriya Yoga. And that really focuses on the pineal gland to bring about change. And I was happy to see that Corey Good and David Wilcock also had a talk on their Last Guy AM TV transcript where Corey talked about the government technology where they're trying to use sound. I want you to know, folks, that I do have a new product out there called the Violet Wand that I really enjoy, Nikola Tesla. I think that's up now. Got a description. It's probably not complete. I need some more stuff in there. But the Violet Wand is a plasma field generator of a purifying consciousness energy ray you can read about. But if you put a Sintamani stone, your own quartz, or put it on your third eye in your major acupuncture points, you will notice great changes, especially around the chakra areas. Give yourself some good therapy with the tachyon crystal. So that's a great new product. I also have a new product called Tachyon, or it's not Tachyon, but it's called the Promise Light Watch. And this is a watch that I used with the scientists from the Dragon Society in developing the laser tools that I have on my website. And we took the base unit. I basically disconnected the wand part, which is custom made and uses crystals and tachianized stones there. And instead, I just have the light watch. The light watch itself is amazing, folks. It basically is a watch that goes over where you take your pulse on your, they call it Niagen acupuncture point. It purifies your blood. Arthritis, diabetes, and arteriosclerosis, and actually heart disease, the studies that are very well done and very well documented indicate that 30 to 45 minutes a day show tremendous improvement. And that's simply from the documentation of the studies which are available. So I really like that one. It also has a nasal attachment that you can put in your nose, and it will hold in there and stimulate your pituitary gland. So we're really getting into the sound, light, and color vibrational therapies like Corey Good talks about. So you get some tachyons and some Sintamanis and some lasers and some violet wands pulsing on your third eye. You'll begin to experience these vibrational attunements. And by raising our vibration, we can keep our consciousness high, and we can keep our awareness away from fear in general. It's time, folks, that we just have confidence and know that you're an immortal consciousness soul being, and that there's really nothing that can happen even if we pass over in this body. But have no fear. Things are moving along. I've got some other things I'll be talking in my other radio shows, but I know you're all chomping at the bit for Cobra. But I'd like you to know, keep in touch and follow my stuff. We're going to have some more interesting information. I put up some more things on the Inner Circle group with Dr. Frank Stranges and Commander Valiant Thor, and that'll be coming out a lot more regularly. So without further ado here, I'm going to bring in the Cobes on the beautiful interview we got coming up here. And thank you all once again for your kindness and support. Victory of the Light. And don't forget, prepareforchange.net. Check out the good work they're doing there. God bless you all. Here comes Cobra. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. And again, as promised, here is our dear friend Cobra, the emissary of light. And we're going to be sharing some wonderful information today on the liberation of the planet. Quite a bit has been going on. And again, I have to apologize, folks. Was very busy, was in Bolivia with Mr. Louis Martin, and of course, my Mount Shasta conference. We are officially recording this on the 31st of August. So it is a monthly interview, but it won't post till September, and hopefully we'll get another one in there September, folks. I apologize for the delay. I know many of you have been waiting, and I want to thank you for your patience. We've got some very interesting things going on. So without further ado, Cobra, welcome once again to our special edition of the Victor the Light Radio Show. It's an honor to have you here again, as always.
Thank you for the invitation again.
I'm going to start off with a couple of personal questions here. We've got lots of great questions here this month, but I was just in Bolivia with Luis Mostojo Martins, the gentleman who has had quite a few experiences down there with the Great White Brotherhood. He spent 7 days in what he calls the Abbey of the Seven Rays, and also he's been to the Dome City, which exists beneath Lake Titicaca the Minor. Now, he said that the minor lake was actually created to protect the information there. Some 5,000 years ago, I guess, it was decided to protect it, and they put a hole in the mountain. They rerouted a river, and there is an energetic field. It's not even made of glass, but it is a kind of a small retreat center where sits the golden disk of the sun. And in some of the questions that I asked him, he had said that the golden disk of the sun had been misused and had caused the planet to wobble And I asked him, I said, that caused the flood. When did the planet start to wobble? I guess it was fairly recently, and we started to have the seasons. Was that 24,000 years ago, yeah?
There were many periods in human history when there was a wobble in the planetary axis, so this is not a new phenomenon here on this planet.
It's not in the history. So is it true that at some point the planet will end its wobble and we will go back to having kind of like a spring and a summer? Is kind of what I was told that it would be like.
The weather patterns on the planet will change, but this is not only connected with the planetary wobble, it is more connected with the conditions of the energy flow from the galactic center.
Okay. Also, another thing that I found, we went to these different locations down there for these activations and initiations, and each place we went, he would say, in that mountain is a base of the Confederation, and nearby there was always a retreat of the Great White Brotherhood. Could you comment on the relationship between the Confederation and the Great White Brotherhood and how they work so closely together?
Basically, the Great White Brotherhood are ascended beings that have gone through Earth incarnations, and after they're ascended, they realize that they are part of a greater brotherhood, which is called the Galactic Confederation, because Earth is just a planet which is about to be accepted in the galactic network of light. So there is a deep working relationship between those two groups, and they are very deeply interconnected, and they are working very closely together for planetary liberation.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. What I asked him down there when I was talking about the stuff that you reveal and things of this nature, it seems as though Louis' mission is completely different. He has been working with different groups over the last 30 years that he has contacts with, and they achieve certain things and they have activations, kind of like you have and you go do meditation, sacred sites. It seems his work is very much involved in that, and he really wasn't like involved with the changes and the physical aspects of the political change to liberate the planet. He seemed to be more on an energetic level, and what he indicated to me was that the Great White Brotherhood work with the energies, the elementals, and kind of like on a spiritual realm, and he kind of indicated that the Confederation is more active, involved in actual programs. Would you agree with that assessment?
Not completely, because also the Great White Brotherhood is working on the physical plane, not so much directly, but through their disciples and through certain people. They send certain energies that have a great influence on the physical plane.
Yes. It's more of a energetic, spiritual work that they do as opposed to directly involved in like removing, plasma, scalar field type stuff. Is that correct?
I don't agree. Actually, they are very much involved in removal of the scalar plasma field.
The Great White Brotherhood is?
Yes.
Okay. And by the way, folks, a lot of people have questions. We say Great White Brotherhood. White stands for purity, and it's actually a brother sisterhood. Is that correct, Cobra?
Yes, absolutely. I think that's pretty much obvious.
Okay. He told me that in one of the satellite pictures, because I was kind of like saying, well, this stuff is going on, and he said, well, we don't really focus on that. He says, the more you focus on it, the more real it becomes. And I kind of got that, but I said that we have to focus on it, so it's a real thing. But what he said was the entire Earth is kind of he described the quarantine as kind of like its own time zone, and that when the Voyager went out and took a picture of the Earth, it wasn't even there. So he kind of indicated that it's kind of like, the feeling I got was that the Earth has been inserted into like a time bubble hospital, so to speak, where there's changes being made. Can you talk about that type of information?
Things are a little bit different. Time has a vector which goes from past to the future, and the Earth is where it is. So when the Voyager took the picture, the Earth was there. The only thing is that light has to travel from Earth to the Voyager, which took about 8 hours in that instant. So this is what people meant by saying that the Earth was not there.
Oh, okay. He was kind of saying that the negativity and everything that's going on is kind of like a false reality in a certain sense. And when we achieve liberation, it'll be reattuned to the consciousness of the spiritual realms. There won't be the negativity, like you've said.
Yes, of course, when the event happens, the negativity will be removed from the planet.
Yes, he said another thing I'm kind of curious about. He said that they work a lot with what he called the ring of fire, which is the magmatic or the telluric energies, and he said it's related to consciousness. And he said that the magma flows of the earth are very important in interacting with human consciousness. Do you agree with that?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Another thing I would like to ask in regards to that, he went through a portal and he went to Ganymede, and there was a dome or an energetic field. He was on the surface as well as on the interior. In any of your travels, did you ever get to go to Ganymede?
Actually, I was close to that location, to the moon of Jupiter, when I had a tour of the solar system with a Palladian 20 years ago.
Okay. He said that there was a city there called Morlen, and that was very interesting. He said that the plants actually have consciousness. When he was there, he said a plant was moving across the landscape, and he says on your Earth, plants are group consciousness, and up here they're individual consciousness. And I just thought that that was very interesting. He described that planet as a place where those beings who wish to help the Earth are trained into becoming guides for the people of the Earth, and that Ganymede is very important in the Jupiter command as far as healing the Earth with the advanced people. Could you comment on that or anything that you learned from the Jupiter command centers up there?
Actually, I made a whole post about the Ganymede portal and the importance of Ganymede. It's one of the major portals for the solar system for the galactic energies, and transmit those galactic energies throughout the solar system. And there are many bases of Galactic Confederation on Ganymede and below the surface of Ganymede, and those bases are anchoring the light for the whole solar system.
Okay, that's kind of what he said, and that was very interesting. It's wonderful to hear you guys on the same page with a lot of that stuff. I appreciate that. I just finished the Mount Shasta conference, and we had the speakers, and one of the interesting things for me was Alex Collier. At the end of his talk, he talked about a dwarf, I'm not sure if it's a brown or it's a red dwarf star, that he maintains is coming to the solar system very soon. And I asked him, how do you know this? And he says, well, I have a picture from a gentleman in the Navy who said that the government knows about it. It can only be photographed with infrared. He says it's approaching the solar system. I don't know if it's inside yet, but he said it's already causing volcanic activity outside Pluto. And I asked him, I said, did the A's confirm this? He said, they told me about this a long time ago. Now, my question is I read in Billy Meyer's contact notes many, many years ago when I was very young with Fred Bell, Wendell Stevens was sending them, and they called this body that comes every 3,600 years the Destroyer Comet. And they actually said that they had bumped it and it won't be as much of an issue. But Alex, in his talk, said that the galactics will absolutely protect the Earth as much as possible, but there may be some earthquakes, some tsunamis, and tectonic movement, but it would not be cataclysmic or causing things. Furthermore, he said the peak influence will probably come sometime in 2016 or 17. Just curious. I always thought it was a myth. I thought if it's there, we could see it, but he said that. So I'd like to hear your views on that.
I cannot confirm the existence of that body, and absolutely I cannot confirm that there is a certain object that is coming to cause cataclysmic events on this planet. Basically, what's happening is that the activity of the galactic center is increasing, and that's why we have more earthquakes here, and that is the main reason why we are having all those changes.
Okay, so from your contacts, can you not confirm it for security reasons, or you absolutely do not know? The ETs have not mentioned it to you at all, and it's never been brought up in any of your communications?
I have never received any confirmation for the existence of anything that is returning in 3,600 years and making destruction in our solar system. So,
Okay. He didn't say cataclysm. He said in the past it's caused some activities, and it's very interesting. I was quite surprised, and I guess that just comes into the different groups have different understandings, and I don't know. I'm really respect Alex Collier, so I'm going to be very surprised if this does come through, and if it doesn't. Let's see. Let's go into the other questions. We have a lot of questions from people now, and we'll try to get through these in your usual wonderful fashion. A lot of people have been talking about this thing called the wave, and I don't know. There's allegedly some scientist who supposedly has nailed it down to the thing. I kind of feel like it's we are in the wave right now, aren't we, Cobra?
actually, we are in the wave for quite some time. As I said many times before, the increased activity of the galactic center, and people have various names for this. And one of the peaks is coming in the next few months, and there will be much more of those energy peaks happening in the future. And one of those peaks will result in the event. And it's extremely hard to predict which one will be the right one.
Exactly. That was what I was feeling. It's a succession of increases that have windows of opportunity.
Exactly.
That's one of the things that's really, I have a lot of respect for you, is that you've never set a date. It's always a window or a possible time zone. You would agree that there is a window of opportunity peak coming in the near future, yes?
Yes, I would agree with that.
Okay, thank you. We'll just go through a bunch of these questions here. Someone wants to know if you can give any information on Bernie Sanders as the president possibility elect. He obviously is well intended. I'm not sure he has the depth to hold things, but people are kind of wondering if you had any information on his efforts.
Okay, it's extremely unlikely that anybody who has not been chosen by the cabal would become a president. If, of course, there will be elections next year.
Yes, I was curious about the possibilities of being elections. I would really be shocked with the movement we've made forward in awareness on the planet. Do you think we will have elections? I mean, and would it come down to Jeb Bush and Hillary Clinton? I mean, do you think that's possible?
Many things are possible, but also a surprise are possible. So, of course, if the event happens before that time frame, the elections will not be.
Okay. Another question here. We're going to jump around a bit. Someone wants to know, what is the process with the Archons and the Kabbalists, and how did they corrupt the Islamic religion and other religions? And how do they do that?
Okay, this question would need to be a little bit more specific.
Okay. Yeah, I'll skip that one. So I'm prepared for change, folks, but thought I would ask it anyway. Someone wants to know, when the actual event comes, what do you recommend for the average person? Probably doesn't feel like they want to be one of the people handing out a community leaders brief or going into that thing. What do you recommend common people do during the event?
Whatever they feel guided to do. I'm not here to give any suggestions to anybody. I would just say for everybody to listen to their own inner guidance. There is enough intel out there to make informed choices and find your own way of contributing to the event when it happens.
Okay, some people were wondering after the event, how quickly will certain jobs end? For instance, someone asked, will big sports teams and that type of thing, like will Major League Baseball, football, World Soccer, would those types of things end in the light of the revelations that will come during the event?
It will be a gradual process. It will take somewhere between a few months and a few years.
Okay. A lot of people have asked specifics about the elixir and what can you give us any possible earthly-based current, I guess, nutritional technology that would approximate these types of technologies from the benevolent?
Not at this moment, because what is most important with the immortality process is the state of consciousness. And with the right state of consciousness, everything else falls into place.
Okay, Lewis said that when he went to the called it the Temple of Purity, that he would place his hand in a device that would read his body's nutritional needs. And he said that they primarily were living on vegetable and fruit extracts. Is that going to be possible shortly after the event, that we would have devices that would read what we would need and be able to create the food very quickly?
Yes, it will be possible for those who will be contacted by the resistance. This will actually then increase gradually and as more people are contacted.
Okay. Someone wants to know, after the event, how much of the average workday is going to be phased out? Will we still be working 8-hour day jobs in the beginning to get things going, or will there be a general relaxing of the, I guess, frenetic pace of work that we currently have?
Right at the event, the working day will still be about 8 hours, and it will gradually decrease over a few months, a few years period to maybe about 4 hours. And work, it will not be an obligation anymore. There will be a certain minimal income guaranteed to anybody and everybody, and those who would like to be more creative, of course, will continue to work in their own way.
Okay. Will the event be postponed if the surface circumstances are all set and ready, except the plasma scalar field is not quite cleared? Would they attempt to hold that off until that's ready? The plasma field must be down for the event to take place?
Actually, the plasma field with the strangelet and toplet bombs is the most critical part of the whole situation and has to be cleared to a great degree before the event can happen. Basically, all strangelet and toplet bombs need to be removed completely before the event can happen.
I didn't really get into the details myself in your posts. I've read every one of your posts at some point, but one person said that you have not explained what a toplet bomb is as opposed to a stranglet bomb. Now, I don't know if that's true, but that's what they said. They were wondering, what is the difference between a stranglet and a toplet bomb?
Actually, I have explained that, but I will repeat it again. The toplet bomb is made of top quarks, whereas the strangelet bomb is made of strange quarks. And toplet bombs is a little bit more massive and quite more dangerous. It is very difficult to make, so there are not many of those present, but still there are some in existence, and they all need to be removed.
Thank you very much. Can you tell us what the situation with the radiation at Fukushima at this point in time?
The situation is not as drastic as many people would like to portray, but still it is quite much of a pollution in the environment, and the situation will be completely dealt with after the event.
Okay, someone was wondering, when a planet is liberated, there's different types of planets. They would like to know if there's any major difference between the planetary liberation process. I guess they were kind of referring to, are all planets have plasma scalar fields? Are there different types of liberations that have taken place in the past?
The situation on planet Earth is very unique because this is the most complex planet with the most extensive programming and a mixture of different races. So this is actually the hardest planet to liberate.
Okay, this is kind of a guess thing out there, but they wanted your guesstimation, I guess we could call it, of these top cabal members. Is there a percentage of them have realized that the game is up and want to get out, or are a lot of them just headed towards, the central sun? And they were kind of wondering, what is their emotional state? Are the reports, are they extremely fearful and panicked? Are they, resigned? What's going on there?
Basically, those who were ready before to cross over into the light when the opportunity comes are still the same, and those who have a tendency to be resisting until the end will resist until the end. So this didn't change much, and we are just waiting for the right time for the changes to happen, and then, of course, those who were ready even before will go into the light.
Okay. I got 3 of these questions this month, and I'm not sure if you had a post regarding this, but several people want to know, how many dimensions are there?
Depending on your definition of a dimension, there are actually gradations of refinement of frequency that gradually converge into the one.
Are there, I think Dr. Bell said there's 7 or 8 parallel universes. Are these related to, in the esoteric terms, what we would call the planes, the cosmic, physical, the mental, all of that? Or within those, there are also more refined gradations of dimensions as well.
Yes, yes.
Okay, someone has said, and I don't know if this is true, but they said the new brick system was invented by George Soros and Goldman Sachs. Is that true?
That is not true, but it is true that actually the light forces were behind this, but the Jesuits and their minions tried to infiltrate and are still trying to infiltrate this, and they have been successful to a certain degree.
Okay. Someone from Argentina seems to feel that the president of their country is quite cozy with the Pope, and they were wondering if you could have any information on that.
There are always negotiations taking place, and what is happening on the surface is not always what is happening behind the scenes.
They also have said that in southern Argentina, there is a Chinese military base being built, and they were wondering what is that purpose. A lot of people are concerned that this is, from the standard, I guess, mainstream view down there that China is trying to infiltrate communism into Argentina. Are you aware?
No, this is not what's happening. What's happening is there is a strong Argon Black nobility Illuminati presence in Argentina, and the Chinese are trying to create a counterbalance to that.
Oh, so the Chinese are establishing a presence to be able to intervene if they try to do, what did you call it, the Project Doom at the time of the event, yes?
Not exactly, but there is a lot of activity happening right there, and the Chinese are balancing or counteracting certain actions of the Argon families there.
Okay. This is an interesting question. I think you kind of answered it before. So there is supposed to be another, as you said, influx of energies between October and December is what this person says. And does it have the potential to trigger the event?
Each window of opportunity has the potential to trigger the event, including this one.
Okay. Could you comment on the current situation with the subterranean strongholds of the Chimera group? Are there still some strongholds? Have there been some victories down there? Are they being arrested? What's happening with the Chimera group?
Okay, there have been a lot of progress in the underground strongholds of the Chimera group. Not much of this is left. So this is good news, actually.
What happens to this base? Do the Chimera spread out amongst the planet when a thing happens? Or are they all actually being arrested and removed from the Earth into, I guess, maybe motherships of the light forces? What happens down there when that takes place?
They are actually transferred to the Ganymede processing facility, and the majority of them go to the galactic central sun. Some of them choose to actually cross into the light, and they are then going through a certain re-education process.
Wow, that's great. So when you mentioned the Chimera group had some major strongholds and they were quite strong, could you give us a percentage? Are we down to, let's say 10 years ago, the Chimera had so many bases and activities where they guarded their toplet bombs, and I think you mentioned they actually have scalar plasma field systems down there as well. What percentage of that has been removed at this point?
I would not speak about percentage, but I would say the vast majority has been removed.
Wow, that makes me think between 75% or somewhere in that range.
Far more than that.
Wow, that's really good. Some people were wondering, before the actual physical event, will the veil be somewhat lifted, or is it exactly at the same time? How does that work?
Okay, the veil is already being lifted to a certain degree, so we are already in the process of veil removal. And this will gradually increase up until the point where the event happens.
So there are different individuals, it seems as though I've been getting a lot of reports of some tremendous progress being made by a lot of people on a personal level, making great strides in their personal spiritual development. Is this part of the veil being removed, or is this probably also some of the work of the contact from the galactic is being allowed to take place on a more regular basis now? Yes?
Actually, both things are parts of the same process.
Okay. Is there anything you can share with us about any plans for contact with certain individuals? Are there going to be any plans for more intense landings where they will stay on the ground and people will get to see them, or is that a little farther out?
No, this is not going to happen before the event.
Okay, so not much open interaction or none at all until the event. See, I guess someone says here, are the incarnated archons able to communicate or interact in some ways with the octopus? And I don't know what that means really, but
not directly, but they can communicate through their meditation.
Okay. The plasma scalar fields with the sublunar operations are making great progress. How is this affecting the implants in the human population?
Actually, this is assisting very much in implant removal. The implants are far less intense, and this is going to assist human beings in contacting the light much more easily.
So are these implants, you mentioned there's an invisible one that it's kind of like it actually shifts. You kind of said that it can be suppressed or removed or subjugated to a certain extent with different technologies, but you said it kind of can grow back and kind of have more influence. Is that being limited now with the work that's being done, or is that still kind of the game?
It's still happening, but to a little bit lesser degree.
Okay. Another question someone here has, I guess they're quoting you here. It says, regular intake of the elixir of life to support the process. Of the two versions available, the mineral version is more effective and more powerful than the herbal vision. This person would like some clarification of the difference between these two versions of elixirs.
Okay, I have said as much as I could say already in the article.
Okay, it's kind of a hidden thing. All right. Someone wants to know, and I don't know if this is definitely going to happen, but they said that CERN is planning on something in September, and they are wondering, is that going to cause any aftermath in the energetic timelines or of the magnetic condition of the Earth?
No. Those fears are ungrounded. People have those speculations about CERN, about September 23rd. None of these of any concern to the light.
Yeah, my feeling has been that everything's going to be all right, and that the bad guys are kind of on the way out. We don't have too much more to fear, do we, Cobra?
We actually have nothing to fear.
Okay, I guess I could say they still may have a few things that could cause some issues. Do you see any of these agendas that they have taking place in terms of manipulating the people in false flags like that? Are those pretty much all done?
Yeah, things like that can happen, yes.
Okay, someone mentioned they wanted to hear your perspective. I think in a week or two, the Jade Helm officially ends, and they wanted to kind of hear what you thought about that. Were there forces, did they have plans going on that were going to be better, but everyone knew about it, so they couldn't do it? What was the situation? And we still, I think they said 2 more weeks of Jade Helm officially. Can you comment on Jade Helm and what that was?
Yeah, actually, the whole situation was exaggerated as usually. And I said many times in the past that you don't need to worry about this. Jade Helm will be over, and after it's over, a few weeks later, everybody will forget about that it ever existed.
Yeah, I kind of felt it was a very real possibility. The technology described was kind of scary, but it's good to know that it's fluttered out as you predicted. People want to know if you can comment, if you know, what is the Pope's true agenda when he comes here? As you've been revealed any more intel on that? You mentioned in our last interview that certain things are going on, but it's been a persistent, I got many questions on that, and they want to know. So if there's any new development, could you share that with us?
Again, his visit is not as important as it seems. It's just another attempt in programming the masses. There will be no cataclysmic or life-shattering revelations or anything of that nature.
I've been speaking with a gentleman who's contact with the treasurer and Christine Lagarde, and he maintains that things really are changing. And I noted, to him, I said, the $100 bills now say Federal Reserve note and Treasury note. Can you comment on that? Is that kind of the transition dollar that's going on?
Yes, there are changes behind the scenes in the structure of the financial system, and those changes are quite deep, and they will lead towards the financial reset.
Okay. Will the dollar keep its purchasing power after the reset? Will there be a drastic situation for the U.S. dollar where, like in some countries, you could use it in your fireplace? It's so cheap, not worth the paper it's printed on. They're kind of wondering what the situation is with the dollar.
No, there will be no drastic devaluation. There might be a devaluation to a certain degree, but the U.S. dollar will not become worthless paper. This is not the plan.
Okay. There was a question in regards to that giant explosion in China, and I think you had mentioned that it was a cabal activity, and they were wondering, was it nuclear?
Unfortunately, yes. Like there were nuclear explosions before in Yemen and Syria.
Wow. Okay. And the message was from the cabal to China. Is that what they were doing? Or
Yes, exactly. Yes.
people are wondering what's going on with Netanyahu. Is he being, I guess, kind of curbed and controlled to an extent? Is his power still strong enough to create, a lot of havoc, or is he kind of waning in his power?
He is losing power daily because his old allies are shifting alliances recently because they're realizing that things are changing.
Yes, some people have been wondering. I thought it was quite interesting. I saw in the airport that Hillary Clinton, they put some smoke and mirrors that she's under investigation for an unsecure computer. What is the purpose of that little leak there? Is that meaning there was something else deeper going on, of course, or is that just a little smoke and mirrors there? What was the purpose of that?
It's a usual rivalry between various factions within the politics. There are deeper things going on, but not related to that particular case.
Yes, people want to know after the takedown, what happens with the GMOs? Will those crops be destroyed? Is there plans to take care of that? Were there seeds in that influence? What will be the process to heal the plants that are growing under GMOs after the event?
Most of the crops will be destroyed. There will be some genetic reverse engineering, as you might call it. They will be unengineered back to their original DNA.
Okay. Some people want to know what's going on with Trump's candidacy for president. I kind of see him as an absolute buffoon personally, but he said that vaccines cause autisms, and he also has stated that politicians are bought and paid for by billionaires like him. Has he been put up to this, or is this really just an individual, an egomaniac with lots of money who's on his own agenda and wants to become president? Or is he part of the cabal? Has he been put into that position?
He has not been put in that position, but he has some ideas that are quite aligned with the cabal's goals. So he is not the savior as some people are expecting him to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think so. So another question here, people are wondering about, are there any extraterrestrials of the negative side working in the Vatican or underground there?
No, not anymore.
Okay. People are wondering what changes will they be feeling at the time of the event when the plasma field comes down? They were kind of wondering if you could describe the physical symptoms, perhaps some idea of the feelings that will take place, and how quickly will it be? Will it happen very quickly, or will this over several weeks, your energies will just shift? They kind of wanted to know, the light workers, what should they look for and how can they aid that process along?
It will be a very strong, energetic event, and people will be able to feel very strong energies. That might cause also strange physical sensations. This process will accelerate as we come closer to the event and will peak at the moment of the event.
Thank you. We talked about this privately, but some people have asked, why are there so many empty cities being built in China, Africa, and someone says in America, but no one's in there. They're wondering what is the purpose of these, quote, ghost cities.
The Chinese need to park their money there somehow. They have a lot of money to invest and they just build cities.
And eventually they're going to move people in there.
Yes.
Someone wants to know, and I'm not sure this could be actually stated. You've mentioned that I guess what we would call evil and this negativity is caused by the random anomaly. But people were wondering, is there a planet where this evil originated from, the Orion system, or was it in other areas of other galaxies as well?
Actually, there were a few points of origin, the main one being in the Orion system, but there were a few other points when this has spontaneously evolved after the beginning of the experiment.
Can you talk about how it came to be that the random anomaly caused this negativity?
It was the choice of certain beings to experience that anomaly directly, and they have developed technologies to do so. So that experience was extremely unpleasant to the point where their consciousness has been mutated beyond the repair.
Okay, very interesting. That kind of dovetails in with what Omnek said at the conference. We had asked her what was the situation, and she said that there were genetic manipulations that took place, and that some of the beings from, not all of the Pleiades, but some beings from the Pleiades and other areas had disagreements on this experiment that you talk about, and that they purposefully deconstructed our DNA to cut us off from our spiritual connection, which she said was natural and our given birthright. Would you agree with that?
I would not agree that Pleiadians did something like this.
Well, maybe that some beings from the Pleiadians did that? No?
No, I do not agree with that.
Okay. Alex Collier states that, and she said that some beings from there, whether they had a base there, I don't know. I mean, and obviously there's many different viewpoints of that. People were wondering, after the financial reset, how long will it take for our current monetary system, gold-backed after the event, to transition into I guess we would call it the universal prosperity economic system of the Galactic Confederation?
I would estimate a few years.
Oh, that's really good. In a couple of years that we will be finished with actual exchange of currency then.
Yes, this is an expectation.
Yes, and will this be run along computers and based on an individual's service credits and exchange in that way?
No, when the technologies become available to manifest everything with replicators, there will be no more need for a financial system.
Wow, that's just exciting, Cobra. In a few years, this could take place, huh?
This can take place very fast after the event.
Wow, and there's obviously really good plans for that. So that's really good news. Thank you. This is a quote from someone. I believe it says that Christine Lagarde announced twice in national speeches that there is no such thing. There will not be any global reset, period. And I guess the question is she lying to us? I thought I've heard from sources that she's kind of involved in it.
Who said that?
Christine Lagarde.
Okay, she is not involved directly in the reset.
Okay, and she says there won't be one.
She can say whatever she wants, but there will be one.
I know, but so I guess that kind of makes me think she's kind of hostile to it. I guess there have been indications that she was attempting to help that along. But here's a thing that someone says. To date, there's many family and friends, as well as some private exchange RV group, have indeed already exchanged their currencies. Now, it says, the public is waiting. They would like you to acknowledge or confirm or deny if that has been happening in the last few weeks. Is there some revaluation going on?
The reset will happen on a planetary scale at the same moment for everybody. There will be no backdoor deals. as a part of that reset.
Okay, so there's no one who is exchanging dinar or these financial things. Nothing's going to happen until the reset happens at the moment of the event. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, I have a question about that. It's such it's such a huge shift over. I mean, do they have a plan for this to take place in certain countries first, or is this really just going to take place all over the planet at once?
This is going to take place all over the planet at once, at the same moment, in real time.
Wow, and I just think with the human element in play here, it just seems without it being like experimented and explained to the public about what's going on and it just happening, how will everyone who's in the positions of finance know how to deal and support this, even if they're really good, honest and ethical people? And there's lots of them who are in the financial system. It's just their job and their mindset. They're stock traders and stuff. But how will these people be able to assimilate the new system? Is it going to be so simple that anyone could do it?
Okay, for many of the stock market traders and people in the financial sector, it will be a big shock. Those will be people with one of the greatest difficulties in accepting the transition.
Yeah, well, there will be people to take their place. I guess, Cobra, I'm not a super good financial guy, but when, large amounts of food are shipped and trade and things that keep, societies and countries running, I think specifically of food, that's all done through the stock market. I guess there's contingencies now for that to take place.
Yes, of course.
Okay, and I guess there's obviously must be a lot of people involved that already know about this? Are they in contact with the resistance of the Galactic Confederation?
Mostly they are in contact, or I would say they receive instructions from the positive military. And they just know parts of the plan, not the whole plan. They just know the part of the plan that is directly connected with their actions.
Okay. Here is another question. It says, in a recent interview, you said deep Earth changes were at least 15 years late. It is quite obvious our galactic friends have been both monitoring and protecting us, the sun and the Earth, to make sure such deep changes, volcanic activity, are kept at bay for some time. And this is presumably to give mankind more time to awaken and raise their consciousness. And what they wanted to know was, are these changes connected to the photon belt in any way? And given the Earth changes that will take place in the future, you see some of these changes taking place before 2015 is over.
Okay, there is no such thing as a photon belt because the majority of the incoming energy flow from the galactic center is not coming through photons. And as I have said, I'm not giving any exact timeline predictions when things are supposed to happen.
Okay. Someone was talking about the wobble in the Earth's axis and the human consciousness. Is the planetary wobble and aura intimately associated with the human consciousness?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Would you agree that there will be a pole shift, maybe not a pole flipping on its axis? And is there a time period that this window more likely occur than any other time?
We are already in the process of magnetic pole shift, so this is already happening.
Can you talk about how pole will shift?
The magnetic poles are shifting already, and this is not going to trigger any massive cataclysm. About the physical polar shift, I'm not speaking yet.
Okay, the magnetic polar shift is, can you talk about the distance from where the North Pole is now magnetically? How far is it going to shift? Will this be thousands of miles, several hundred miles? What is anticipated?
It can be thousands of miles, and it can even be a complete polar reversal.
It could be. Would a polar reversal precipitate more physical upheaval?
No.
Oh, interesting. So we could have a magnetic shift where the South Pole becomes the North Pole, the North Pole becomes the South Pole, and not have a drastic movement within the tectonic plates or earthquakes. Is that correct?
Yes.
Very good news. Someone wants to know what light workers should do to protect themselves in their financial situation in the world today. Do you recommend investing? I know you're not a stock person, but do you recommend investing, holding some gold and silver? Some people have been feeling that the currencies are going to fluctuate, and that is that be the safest way to put your money?
Okay, first put it out of the bank. This is number one. And number two, put it in something tangible, or even better, put it in projects that improve the quality of your life and the quality of the lives of people around you.
Okay. Do all the energies and frequencies that are rising vibrationally affect children differently than adults? They're able to assimilate it better. What would be the difference? What could parents look for in their children? Is there anything they should look out for? Will some children go through some possible stressful times from these changing frequencies? I'm not talking about society or earthquake, but I'm talking about consciousness.
Well, children will have much less problems with adapting to the new frequencies because it will be quite natural to them.
And this is another mother here, same person. She was wondering, were the diseases like parotitis, mumps, rubella, and measles, were they made in a lab, or were these natural occurring diseases?
They were made in the lab. Some of them recently, some of them a long time ago.
Okay. Another person would like to thank you for your love and light. And you made some statements. They'd like you to clarify points you made about the control over the reincarnation process. In your last interview, you said it was very rare for an individual to ever escape the grid at the time of death. Whereas a few months ago, you asserted that some evolved souls have no problem breaking the reincarnation process of death.
One thing is this, to reach out with your consciousness beyond the veiling, not to leave this place, and completely something else is to leave this quarantine and relocate to some other location.
Okay. Well, I got one last question here, I guess. I guess it has to do with the plasma scalar field network and the chemtrails. There have been some tremendous increase in the chemtrails lately, and you have mentioned that some of the satellites are coming down. Does this render the chemtrails less effective for the surface population?
Okay, the chemtrail situation will be completely resolved at the time of the event and not before.
Okay, so that's one of the last things to go. Cobra, thank you very much. I apologize for taking so long to get to this interview, but it's informative as always, and I want to thank you so very much for coming on and taking the time with me here today, and we'll get this out to the people as soon as possible. Is there any messages you'd like to leave the audience with for this coming month?
Okay, the most important thing in this month will be, do not lose your center, do not lose your balance, because there might be challenges coming, and have your vision, have your focus, and we will be victorious at the end.
Thank you so much, Cobra. Victory of the light, folks. Cobra, once again, God bless you, and thank you for your service to our planet.
Thank you very much, and victory of the light.